Alright guys, so here we go. So we're moving on to section 3 here of chapter 5, which is solving systems. This time we're going to learn how to do it by substitution. Probably one of the hardest things you're going to learn in 8th grade. And chapter overall is just a whole. It's one that everybody struggles with because it involves the most algebra. We've already learned how to solve systems by looking at them and then graphing them on a graphing calculator. So if you guys recall how to solve them by graphing, you would just go to Desmos graphing calculator, you graph them, and then you would know what they look like, and you would know how many solutions there are, and you would know where they intersect is actually the answer. So with this, let's say we didn't have a graphing calculator. So this one makes it a little bit harder because now we actually have to use a lot of algebra. So we're going to solve these problems here. I believe there's like 5. Yeah, we're going to solve these 5 problems here, and then that should prepare you for your Math Excel. So let's see here. It says 5-3 additional practice, leveled practice, I guess. So a piggy bank contains 70 coins. The coins are dimes and nickels worth $5.50. Use substitution to solve the systems of equations to find how many dimes and nickels are in the piggy bank. So they went ahead and gave you those formulas. So the 2 formulas are this one here and this one here. They already gave you the formulas for this entire problem, or the equations. Now what we have to do is, it says step 1, substitute for D to solve for N. So that means that you would take that first equation that I highlighted in purple, you would take this one and you would have to solve it for letter D. So you have D plus N equals 70. So in order to get D all by itself, you would have to subtract N from both sides. However, 70 and N, they don't really go together. So you just got to rewrite it as you see it. So that says 70 take away N. So D is equal to 70 minus N. So that's what you would replace D for. D would now be able to be replaced by this information here, 70 minus N. So substitute for D to solve for N in the equation. So you'd have D would now be 70 minus N, and everything else would stay the same. Now you would have to use the distributive property to solve this problem. So you'd have 0.1 times 70, and then 0.1 times minus N. So you'd have to distribute here. Okay, so 0.1 times 70, you guys are welcome to use a calculator for that. I believe that would come out to be 7. And then 0.1 times N is just 0.1 N. This guy right here came on down, and this guy here came on down. Now you combine like terms. You have 7, that 7 right here, it came on down. You have a negative or a minus 0.1 N plus 0.5 N. You'd add those together and you'd get a number. And I believe that should be negative, I don't know what happened there. That should be negative 0.05 N. And what we did there is we combined this guy and this guy together. Okay, these 2 guys right here, to get this negative 0.5 N. Or 0.05 N, I'm sorry. So now from here, we need to subtract 7 from both sides to get this final answer. So this guy here came on down. And you got 5.5 take away 7, which should give you negative 1.5. And you can use a calculator for that. So we did 5.5 take away 7, and that'll give you that negative 1.5. And then for your last step, you divide both sides by negative 0.05, and you will come up with an answer. So let's see here, 1.5 divided by 0.5, there's no calculator there. I got a calculator here. So we have negative 1.5 divided by negative 0.05, and we do that, you get a 30. We got 30 here. So our final answer is n is equal to 30. So now that we know how much n is, and we know that n is equivalent to the number 30, it's the same thing, that means I can go over here and figure out what letter D now equals. So step 2 says substitute for n to solve for D. Well, we know that n from our previous problem is 30. We know it's 30. So we come over here, replace n with 30. So this n would then become a 30. And you'd have D plus 30 equals 70. Now to solve that equation, subtract 30 from both sides. It's got to be gone. Your D came on down. 70 take away 30 is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 40. And D is 40. So there are 40 dimes and 30 nickels in the piggy bank, and you are all done. I know I said that like it was easy, but believe me, I know this right here is not easy. You will do this right here all the way until you get up into Algebra 2. This stuff is some really, really hard stuff, and this is the first time that you see it. So you need to pull your bootstraps up and figure this out and practice. Now this is really hard, and I know it's going to take a lot of practice, but I believe in you guys. I think you guys can really, really do it if you just really, really practice. So there's one. Let's go look at another one. This one says use substitution to solve, use substitution to solve the systems of equations. So we got this one. It's going to be a little bit harder. So we have y is equal to 2/3 x plus 6. So that means that wherever I see a y, I can replace the y with a 2/3 x plus 6. So I have this 3, and then I can replace my y with that information that they tell me about letter y. So that means I can replace it with the 2/3 x plus the 6, because we know that letter y is the same thing as this information right here. That's why I can replace it. So then from there, what I'd have to do is I'd have to take this 3 and I'd have to distribute it into the parentheses. So 3 times 2/3 x should just give you a 2x. So in the calculator, you're welcome to go do 3 times 2/3, and it should just give you a 2. And then you bring that x down with it. Then you have the 3 times the 6. So here we did that times that. Now we're doing this one times that one. So 3 times 6 should give you an 18. And then everything else just follows along. Now from here you combine like terms. So we have, let's see here, we have these two here. We have 2x minus 2x, and it's on the same side, so we can combine those. And those will actually cancel each other out. And you're just left with 18 is equal to 0. And I don't know about you, but for me, that is kind of weird. 18 does not equal 0. So therefore, on this one, there is no solution to the system of equations. No solution. No solution. Because you got 18 is equal to 0. That's not true. It's not possible. Nowhere in any mathematical textbook is 18 equal to 0 there. So there's no solution for that. So if you go graph those two, I'm actually curious to see if I could show you that. If you go graph that, it'll actually give you two parallel lines. And if you don't believe me, you're welcome to go and graph these two equations right here in Desmos. And it will give you two parallel lines that never touch each other. And if you have two parallel lines that never touch each other and they never cross, if you recall, that's whenever you get no solution. And this is how you would solve that algebraically instead of just using a graph. All right, let's look at number 3. Use substitution to solve the system of equations. So this one had to do the same thing I did on the other one, except if you notice, neither one of these two equations say y equals yada 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 or x equals yada yada yada. So in my opinion, I always look at the equation that looks the most simplistic, and I believe this one here to be the most simplistic, which means that I can actually take this equation, rewrite it over here, do a little bit of scratch work to make it actually say y equals yada yada yada. So the first thing I would do to get y by itself is to subtract 1. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I get y is equal to negative 2x minus 1. And now I rewrote the equation in my favor because now I know that y is equal to negative 2x minus 1. Which then means that wherever I see the letter y over here in this equation, I can replace it with a negative 2x minus 1. So let's go ahead and do that. So we would have 4, and then in parentheses, we'd have our negative 2x minus 1, and then we'd have our plus 8x equals the negative 4. Now I solve. Remember, this is a multi-step equation, so hopefully you recall your multi-step equation flow chart. And here we go. Distribute. So that 4 gets multiplied by everything in the parentheses. So that's negative 8x minus 4. And then everything else on outside the parentheses, that plus 8x and that negative 4, they all come down. So all I did here is I took, I can't make it any smaller. I took this 4 and I multiplied it by a negative 2x. So 4 times negative 2x gives me a negative 8x. And then you have to multiply that 4 by that negative 1. So 4 times negative 1 gives me that negative 4. So then I'm done distributing. Now everything else that's left over can come on down, and then I can continue the problem by combining like terms. So I have a negative 8 and a plus 8. They both have an x attached to them, so they're like terms. And they actually also cancel each other out. And I get negative 4, that's still left over there, and it still equals negative 4. So negative 4 is always equal to negative 4. That is a true statement. This is true. So if that is true, then that means I have infinitely many solutions. Because if you go graph these two equations on Desmos, and you graph them, they're going to be the exact same line. They're going to be stacked on top of each other. And if you recall from previous lessons, if you have two lines that are stacked on top of each other, then that means that there is infinitely many solutions. So, infinitely many solutions. There you go. So we've done one with one solution up here at the top. That one gave us one solution for each part. Number 2 gave us no solution, and number 3 has given us infinitely many solutions. So we've done an example of each. And you're welcome to rewind the video and watch it 100 million times. That's fine. However, I got 2 more problems that we're going to do here, and these ones are the word problems. But thankfully, they've already given us the equations, which is pretty generous of them. And on your assignment, it's also going to do the same thing. So let's look at number 4. It says Jake buys a fruit smoothie and a protein bar for $5.90. And Kobe buys 2 fruit smoothies and 4 protein bars, and he pays $16.80. What is the cost of each fruit smoothie and each protein bar? So I'm assuming that the fruit smoothie is X. So X represents the fruit smoothie. And we're going to say letter Y represents the protein bar. Okay. So in our story, the protein bar is letter Y, and the fruit smoothie is letter X, and that's definitely not how you spell smoothie. Forgot the H, the I, and the E. It's fruit smoothie. All right, so let's look at these 2 equations, and in my opinion, and hopefully in yours, you'll notice that this is the easier equation of the 2. So we're going to solve it for letter X, I guess. So we're going to take this equation here. We're going to rewrite it to help us figure out what X is equal to. So to figure out what X is equal to, we need to get it all by itself. So that means we would subtract Y from both sides. And when we do that, we would have 5.90 take away Y. That would represent letter X. So now we have manipulated that equation in our favor, because now we know what X is equal to. And now that we know that X is equal to 50.90 or $5.90, I'm sorry, $5.90 minus Y, then that means wherever I see an X, I can replace it with this $5.90 take away Y. So the equation would then say 2, and then in parentheses, I'm going to put that information in that I know about X, and everything else is going to come on down. So in that blank, in those parentheses, I am going to put this information right here into those parentheses. So $5.90 minus Y. And then I have this equation that's all in terms of Y, and therefore I'll be able to figure out what Y is equal to. So I take this 2 and I'm going to distribute it. So that would be, I believe, $11.80. If you do 2 times $5.90, that should give you $11.80. And then that'd be minus 2Y, because you would take this 2, multiply it by the $5.90 and the minus Y, and that's what you get. And then all this other information here, we're going to go ahead and bring it down. So we got the plus 4Y, and it equals the $16.80. Now I can combine like terms, and now I'll be ready to rock and roll. So $11.80, I got the negative 2Y plus 4Y. That should give me a plus 2Y, and so far we're moving along just smoothly. Now I get to continue to solve for this equation. And from here, I need to solve for Y, because that's the ultimate goal here. Now that I have everything in terms of Y, so to get Y by itself here, I need to subtract $11.80 from both sides. And when you do that, your 2Y, just bring it on down. And from here, the 80 cents, that kind of cancels out there. And you have $11 or $16 take away $11, which should give you $5.00. And then you divide by 2 on both sides, and you are all done. You get Y is equal to $2.50. So now that we're halfway done with this problem, oh Lord, so Y is equal to $2.50. So Y is $2.50. So if we go back up to our problem, our protein bars represented letter Y. So in this problem, letter Y is the protein bars. So our protein bars are $2.50 a piece. So now that we know that information, we can take Y and replace it with $2.50. So if you want to, you can actually come back up here to this equation right here that I'm circling, and I guess that's teal or blue or whatever color it is. And you can replace y with $2.50. So I'll do this in red for you. We'll go ahead and snag this guy and bring him on down here. Delete that there. We're going to snag this guy, bring him on down here. So we got x plus y is equal to $5.90. We know that to be true. We know y is $2.50. So we can say x plus $2.50 equals $5.90. And then we can subtract that $2.50 from both sides to figure out what letter x is equal to. And x would be equal to, looks like $3.40. So x is equal to $3.40, which represents our fruit smoothie. And y is our protein bars, which are $2.50. So if you went to this store, you would be able to tell me how much the fruit smoothie is and the protein bar just based off of this mathematical expression here that they had given you. And yeah, that's ridiculously hard, and I'm not going to lie, it's going to take a lot of practice, and you're probably going to have to watch this video about 10 times. So that's okay. Everybody has to start from somewhere. And I feel like if you guys really practice and take your time and try to practice these problems, you can 100% possibly master this. Because if you can master this, there ain't nothing stopping you. I mean, you might as well just go to college at that point. Because they actually do this type of stuff right here in college. But yeah, you're learning in 8th grade, which is kind of wild. So yeah, there's a problem for you right there. All right. Now, let's go do the last one, and then we'll be done. So Farmer Brown planted corn and wheat on 370 acres of his land. The cost of planting and harvesting the corn, letter C, is $280 per acre. The cost of planting and harvesting wheat, letter W, is $135 per acre. If Farmer Brown's total cost was $83,300, how many more acres of corn than wheat did he plant? Okay, well, thankfully they were generous enough to give us the two equations that we need based off of the story, and now we can actually solve the equation. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take just as much work as the previous problem did, so go ahead and put on your seatbelts. As before, this guy right here looks like to be the easiest equation, so we can go ahead and write it off to the side and solve for letter W or letter C. It doesn't matter. We'll go ahead and solve for C. So C is equal to $370 take away W. And since I know that C is equal to 370 take away W, then I can take this information right excuse me. I could take this equation or this information right here and replace it for letter C. So I have 280, and then in parentheses I'm going to put that information that we just found out about C, and everything else is going to come down. So I'm going to replace letter C that's in the equation with this information that's right here. So this letter C right here is now going to get replaced by that 370 minus W. Now I can solve this equation with the algebra that I used on the previous problem where we distribute. And this is where we would definitely probably need a calculator. So that would be 280 times 370. So we got 280 times 370. And that gives us 103,600. So $103,600. And then the 280 times the W in there would be the 280 W, and then everything else comes on down. Then we combine like terms before we move on. Got to put these two guys right here together, simplify them, combine like terms. So we have 103,600, And then we have negative 280 take away 135. So negative 280 add 135 to that. We got negative 145. So minus 145W. And then this over here equals the 83,300. Then we're almost, we're on the home stretch here, kind of. We would subtract the 103,600 from both sides. This would cancel. That guy would come on down. So you have negative 145W equals, see here we have, I should probably pick this up, put it over here. Oh yeah, that makes my life a lot easier. Would you look at that? Okay. So we got the 83,300 take away the 103,600. Oh, for some reason I hit the decimals. 83,300 take away the 106 or 103,600. And that gives me the negative 20,300. So negative 20,300. Then I'll divide both of those numbers by negative 145. And I would get W would be equal to 140. Alrighty. So now that I know that W is equal to 140, that means wherever I see W up there, now that I figured out that W, the wheat, is 140, I still need to figure out letter C for the corn. So what you can actually do is you could take this equation right here, and you know that W is 140, you can actually solve that equation. So if you take this one, bring it off to the side, you know that C, the corn, is 370 take away W. But we know that W is now 140. So we can do 370 take away 140, and we got 230. So C, the corn, is 230. And now we know what that one is. So the corn is 230, and the wheat is 140. And we're all done. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. That is some tough stuff right there. That is not a walk in the park at all. This is the hardest stuff you will ever probably learn for a very long time. So my recommendation is to watch the video a handful of times and write these problems down, write them in your notebook, practice them, look at them, try to walk through them, try to solve them on your own, and then look at your notes and see if you solved it right, and practice, practice, practice. Stuff is difficult, but regardless, I think you can do it. Hope you guys have a great day, and as always, like, comment, or subscribe, dislike, doesn't really matter, but you got your assignment tomorrow. Y'all have a great day.